When will the species realize empty space is an ocean? To dive into this idea properly, I feel I need to explain how I noticed it. Pretty much I've experienced moments where there is a movement before the self. I have wondered about knowledge, linear knowledge, and where it will evolve to, what will happen to knowledge next, and what intelligence really means. What is this intelligence we see? Anyways, in other talks, I reached a very unique conclusion. I noticed that we look at fish under the sea, underwater. Just like the fish cannot see the water that is everywhere. Human beings cannot see space. So I pretty much saw the same way human beings have a relationship with space is similar to how fish have a relationship with water. Do you know? It is not visible, but they're in it. And I was thinking, imagine a fish is swimming, and this fish finds a current. Imagine you're a fish and you're swimming, and suddenly you get into a current, and the fish is like, I don't see anything. Oh my God, look at my speed. The fish experiences the rhythm of the current, the movement, the speed of the current. And I have experienced states as a human being where through what appears to be nothing, there is something moving. I feel the evolution of intelligence for the human being, and the new approach is this, that what is mind, or not what is mind, but that we, just like fish can access currents, human beings can access spatial currents, let us call them. You know, we have this view that don't believe in reality too quick, wonder about it, don't doubt the system, check, double check, all these notions. But then, could it be that we have believed in empty space too soon? Could it be that we are rather particles projecting fields? We are particles being moved by the field. That means the hardest challenge the human being has, is not discriminating between what is visible intelligence. but between what is invisible. That means it's easy to say what parts of the brain are moving. It is much more complex to comprehend the relationship of the brain if it was a unique antenna. You see, an antenna disconnects the relationship. It disconnects. There is an unknown. The fact that we are sandwiched between two unknowns, or you can say the unknown is sandwiched between two known universes. That means the witness within, the watcher, as the Upanishads say, the seer of the seen is unseen. The one who is looking and the one that is aware they are looking, the one that is aware they are looking is not a shape. That means there is a component to human intelligence where it's not an object looking at an object. Sight is not an objective phenomenon. What I mean by that is, the processing of sight. I mean in the sense that, right, many people, we use name tags, we have stories to our life, but that characterhood behind the eyes, it is not visible. It is not, I shouldn't say it's not visible, it's not physical. I feel empty space is one side of the coin, what we perceive as emptiness. And the other side is not just a complete fullness, it's that we are we are as creatures considering in absolutes. We're like, is it everything or is it nothing? We don't know that there are so many options to how reality is standing in the moment that we cannot see. Just like Edison invented the light bulb, that means everybody before, at the time of Edison, could have built the light bulb. But it was Edison that did it. That means they all had the potential. Everybody has the potential to climb a mountain, but not everybody climbs a mountain. Right now, I could give myself poetically endless medals because I have the potential for everything, you know? But it's the practicality of it. And so it's like the human being wondering, what do we do with knowledge? Are we like a bird that is gathering sticks for its nest? Is that why we need knowledge? Or is knowledge a branch that the bird can fly off from? That's the thing. I feel in order to have an advanced civilization, we have to balance the characterhood. That means it's thinking the individual has karma and then thinking the individual is the karma of the cosmos. You know, it's like wondering, you know what it is? Imagine like someone writing down a story. Or let me see. I have experienced these currents, and I'm not the only person. Everybody has. We're not conscious of them. We're not conscious that we are moving in movement, so we think we're the only thing that's moving in the room. Just like there is a a similarity of seeing that, all right, the Earth is orbiting around the sun. And then we look at, oh my God, the sun is orbiting around something. And then, oh my God, that thing is orbiting around something. Oh my God, another thing's orbiting around something. And it's as if this endless regression into a geometry with no end. That is what the universe is for me. It is geometry. It's like a shape that is not finished being drawn. It's a shape that cannot be even drawn, cannot be replicated. That means we feel time travel is possible. For me, it's like existence is like fire burning firewood. After you exist, it is done. But when I say it is done, I don't mean the objective realm is done, but I mean the opportunity. It doesn't matter whether you have your allegiance to the kingdoms of the void, whether you have your allegiance to the kingdoms of the singular, whether you have your allegiance to the kingdoms of the dual, or whether you have your allegiance to the kingdoms of the infinite. Those who have their allegiance to the kingdom of the void, they are never here in the world. They are never in the world. Those who have their allegiance to the singular, they are the world. Those who have their allegiance to the dualistic, they are in the world. And those who attain the infinite become where the world is. We may be experiencing time as creatures, but the whole universe could not be in time. You know, it's like me imagining a city and then someone in that city I've imagined wondering who's imagining the city. It's like that level. That level where I feel we are objectively the small and the big, subjectively the big and the small. You know? From a materialistic perspective, you know, like Godhood is denial. From the immaterialistic perspective, God is not a concept because it is existence. What I mean by that is that people, first there was the phenomena, then there was the language. First there were creatures that had mouths, then we started vocalizing our inner realms. I feel what surpasses linear knowledge is non-linear experience, which is way more valuable. I can tell you that an experience is worth a library. One experience. There's moments when I give these talks and then the rhythm of my inner realm shifts. So suddenly I am like giving the talk while at the same time noticing different memories of myself. Because the moment you notice you're not just a thought, it means you don't have to do anything to be something. It means something is being before you do. That's the only path to insight. That's the only way you can notice what's in the sight. It's like a person has insight, then there's a sight therein. Can you imagine, like, we have the word insight. Now imagine we have the words in and then space and then sight, S-I-T-E. As if insight, our sight is a structure. And when we are consciously perceiving, we are in the perception. For how long are we going to have this archaic body, mind, soul attitude? For how long is our morality just going to be good and bad? When will human beings realize they are alive once? And that is why eternity is valuable. It is the effort of continuity. That means for me, I have seen many scientists very laugh at the word eternity. But I looked at evolution as a sort of eternal urge of continuity, as if the matter is continuing because the subject wants to. Because the subject doesn't know what birth and death is, but the object does. The viewer. Right now, as I'm speaking, I am also watching the moment. But when I speak, like it's something interesting I've even paid attention to. That's very seldom do I close my eyes and speak. The only times when I'm giving a talk like this one and I close my eyes if there's too much emotion and I just want less input, sensory input, or I could say when the picture is not clear. What that means is it's like you visualizing let's say a blue sphere hovering in the air. Okay, now imagine there was blue light in the room and somebody told you to visualize. It would be as if you would close your eyes and visualize it. The certainty of the inner realms would be then as if with that intensity requires you to close your eyes. It's known phenomena, unknown perceiver. Known perception, unknown perceiver. Because we receive intelligence and express, like sometimes I think our human beings like a machine that's, or like a domino that's pushed and it sets all the other dominoes. That means it's like the moment we start breathing, the world generating engine of the mind begins. People on this planet have thought that life is about themselves. They've only looked at themselves, some people. Some people never knew life could be about their self. From the beginning of their life, they've looked at others. Some people haven't even been born yet. But some people are wise. They are wise because they notice that the jurisdiction of their mind, the kingdom of their intelligence, the walls has limits. There is color in the outline of the landscape we see. That means in the same way we are saying like life is made of atoms, we can just say life is color. As if color is its own dimension of being. I think we should start this global 8 billion beings project where we are trying to find the real Earth. Can you imagine children being born in a civilization and everybody's looking for the real Earth? And the children are like, what are you guys looking for? What do you mean the real earth? The earth is right here. What are you guys looking for? Imagine. And we say we are looking for the real earth because we all know the earth is here, but we don't all see it the same. So the real earth is a view where there is inseparability of the individual and the collective. There is inseparability of the language and the user. Sometimes it's fascinating to me how much of evolution has been silent. It's very strange. We are like creatures that emerged from nature designed for the world. Our design it's as if we are too designed. We are too well designed, you know, to grant randomity the hammer of judgment. So, guys, my attention has come to the chat section. Welcome, Stephen. Uh, Guys, the thing is, I speak like a painter, and the image is superior to the words. Life is not just language and concepts. You can say language is the shadow of reality in the mind of man. It is not the accurate, it is not the exact. So Stephen says in the chat section, but it's chaos that made us. No change, no us. Order would leave us not here. See, Stephen, the thing about chaos and order is that it's an endless game, and in Greek mythology, they consider chaos. It is true. Greek mythology is super chill. It's like, yeah, it was chaos. Then gods emerged out of chaos, you know? So we can say design is the order and chaos is the absence of order. Because if there is no shape to our order, how do we separate it from chaos? Chaos and order are like night and day, Stephen, I would say, in the chat section as a response to your comment. They are like night and day because without chaos, what does order mean? Without order, what does chaos mean? It's the same with good and bad. So guys, anybody who's listening, I'm going to share a new update. Actually, just a quick intermission in the middle of the talk. I've started this channel called The Man Who Drew on the Sky. I found what I consider to be I don't know, a workable way to draw on the sky. I think I'm the first person ever, but I don't know. And but go check out that channel. The reason I wanted to check out that channel because I when I speak, when someone draws, there's people who draw where they start from a corner, let's say, and it's structured. They have the vision and they're trying to copy it outside. When I draw, it's like when I say that I speak like a painter, that means a painter. I'm a kind of person who I draw a part of the canvas, like I start from the left corner, then I suddenly get an inspiration to draw the right corner. Then I get an inspiration to do the middle. And it's like, it's not specific, but it's like life is not linear. Don't be afraid if A to B to C to D is not the only way intelligence moves. You know what I mean? Like people shouldn't be afraid of the linear. Society is just doing the best it can. So what is the value of treating empty space like an ocean where there's intelligent currents in it? It means there is a complexity to the ecosystem. It means that there's a huge chance we are multidimensional beings. That means the current is in its own dimension, the fish is in its own dimension, the fish and the current, they are dimensional intersection. So we are like physical beings, we are physical beings and we notice empty space. So what does that mean? That means it's like we are the visible swimming in the invisible. And because we're swimming in the invisible and we're visible, if we base knowledge based on ourself, it cannot surpass the human form. Do you see? Do you see what we have done? It is true, science's aim has been mighty, but it has not been mindful. Because the mind has become full. Because methods have become the owners of men's minds. Because we forgot to explore. We forgot to pull the curtains of the realm. The world has changed, but it has not realized the changeless yet. When will the roar of the human being be heard? When will 8 billion roars be heard at the same time? When will the light of 10,000 suns be seen? When will the individual realize the only purpose is the collective when you're individual? Because individualism, there is only the void or the dual. So either you're going towards the dualistic infinite or you're going towards the void infinite. Sometimes I feel that in my childhood I was wiser. And it's a strange feeling because when I look at my childhood, I didn't know a lot of things. But I don't know why I felt I was wiser. That means it's as if many things that were gut instincts of my own childhood, which I doubted, years later I was like, why was I doubting? And I realize it doesn't explain it if it's a horizontal view, but if it's a vertical and a horizontal, if we are multidimensional, everything is explained. We have reached a point where we can no longer accept singular reality. Change is an airplane and we're on it. Now, if you can see the world, you're welcome to rise among the pilots. But if you do not see the world, then you're still playing the games of the self. And the thing about the games of the self, they are as endless as the world you're in. We are dreaming in a void, guys. There's nothing weirder than this. Having dreams in reality. So guys, in the chat section, I've written a sentence. I've said there is more unknown than known in the cosmos. Our language is hollow. And people can say anything. But because we cannot index the whole cosmos, no fact is 100%. You know what it is? It's like me saying the universe is going to be here forever. Do you know? And people are like, yeah, it's still here. It's like it's as if we can treat it. In primitive minds, in earlier, you can say for earlier minds, that could have been a fact. Now imagine many of the things we conclude, they also have blind spots. That means for someone to declare 100% certainty of an event, there's so much more. The best approach I've found so far is from Robert M. Pirsig, where he says something in the likes where the imagery of it is like he says, in this world, our awareness is like a handful of sand from an endless beach with endless sand. And we think we know what's going on. We think facts are enough. We don't realize that there are dimensions to life that they don't go as you plan. Because life has its own plans. Nature does. That's the cool thing about nature. You can complain to it, you can name it and be cruel to it, but you think nature cares? You think nature, it's as if you think a busy CEO cares about, its past mistake? There's something in life that when you realize it's a momentary event, it's as if the man dies, but existence watches the experiencer fade. All right, guys. The lions are growling. I'll get back to the talk. I don't know, guys. Pretty much, like, not all the talks that I give are to have a conceptual destination. Sometimes for me, it's just something new that I've noticed, which I feel like I want to share. In regards to the space, being, intelligence, I've had moments where I've tried to write. This was before 2011, where I would attempt writing, and there was nothing. It was as if it was like an emptiness. There was no thoughts. And there's moments where I haven't even wanted to write, an endless sentence structure has just poured on the windshield of my conscious attention. In this world, the world first moved man. Now man has moved the world in his definition. In the human view, we're relating to things. That means when an extraterrestrial comes from another planet, we call it an alien. It's alien to us. It's foreign to us. It's unique to us. It's unfamiliar to us. But the interesting thing about this life is that everybody is raised in their environment, raised by the activities of the environment. That means sometimes I think, okay, sure, I keep thinking to myself, yeah, I'm unique, but how much of everything that I've seen is the world? That means it's as if sometimes people, when people, have been very kind, of course, to compliment me. Sometimes I'm like, hey, it's like nature's doing this too, man. It's like I'm talking about the world, so it's like, let's have a round of applause for the world first. We need the world before we can talk about it. We need existence before experience can have identity. And we need experience before existence can be noticed. I think because we're natural beings, we should look at patterns in nature rather than in just pure ideological analysis. What I mean by that is that it's as if, like, imagine a nature photographer. The nature photographer is in nature not to conclude, but is only there to capture a moment. I have had moments where I've been alone, just completely alone with the world. And I've looked at it and even have wanted to make a prayer. But there is a silence that is frighteningly and in a fascinating way overwhelming. There is a silent, it's as if the silence is watching every noise. It's as if every sound, every concept has emptiness in common. So if we are to comprehend currents in emptiness, it's as if emptiness is a dimension between the temporary beginning and the endless end. For what is failure? What an inner death. In front of my eyes, I have lived one life. Behind my eyes, there was a moment where there wasn't even a numerical language. That means there is a risk to individualism. That in a non-dualistic realm, there is no question or no answer. No truth seeker, no truth. I don't know, nature is pretty weird, guys. Rabindranath Tagore says you cannot cross the sea by merely staring at it. We cannot surpass emptiness by just identifying it with it. When we look at the design of the argument for the temporary perspective, like what should a temporary being do, it cannot banish the notion of eternity. Because that's the purpose of existence, in it is its continuity. So if you feel you're a temporary creature on this planet, eternity is an opportunity. If you feel you're not, imagine right now we were just like the opposite of how we are right now. We're all saying we're temporary creatures on this earth. Imagine we were opposite. We were eternal beings. In that point, the temporal realm would be our work, would be like a workstation. That means when the person goes to work, they know that's not their home. And we have emerged in a world with a nostalgia of, oh God, what is this? Why is energy conscious of itself? Why did energy become conscious of its pain? Do you know that means why couldn't we have not been conscious of pain? That means like there's certain things we're not conscious of. It's like we don't process. But why pain? Why is pain relevant to the ideological, to the idea roaming in the attention? There's moments where I feel I am my body, and there's moments where I feel the whole moment is an awareness where the body is in. It's just the content. Just like how this computer is in front of me, just like how I'm here. Matter is playing its part. But the observance of matter has a glow that is not from just the space-time continuum. So I feel that we actually, from the beginning of time, may have been experiencing the higher dimensions, but have not been able to consciously process it. That means just because the processor can't process anymore doesn't mean reality, there's no truth out there and that's it. Facts chain us to the language that never updates. To honor Terence McKenna, I would say seek the valley of novelty. In the valley of novelty, Even time lets go of its name tag. You know, when we care for ourselves, it's an opportunity cost. When we care only for ourselves, it's an opportunity cost. We haven't cared for the world. When we care for the world, there's an opportunity cost. We didn't care for the self. But if we build a civilization where caring for yourself equals caring for your world, that means imagine every person who worked, there was an honor component. Right now, there's no honor. I am telling you, society is it's easy. It's very easy to uh, have dishonor. And let me tell you, when honor descends, that's when the animal steps out. That means you don't know. A great source of violence on this planet is a sort of dissension feeling. The person feels they have fallen from a certain uh, value. There's so many ways the world moves. We're just commentating it, like just like how we have UFC commentators, we have, you know, you know, mystics commentating on the wilderness of the multidimensional realm. You know. You know, there came a time where I wondered why is it so easy for me to go get like a plate from the cupboard, but it's some things the person is planning for, they get nervous even to do and all this stuff. I wondered why is it that in one in one context there's ability, in another context there isn't. And it's all about us utilizing patience. I honestly think a lot of suffering on this planet is because people are living too fast. So they are sacrificing the quality of life, maybe just to have more quantity of something. The quality of life is like it's not just the park that's important, you know, what's going on in the park, it's how you walk in the park. How you walk in the world when it becomes just like a walk in a park. For me, mastery was never fighting. You fighters are not per se, they haven't understood why mastery is non-violent. When you feel like life is a mountain, everybody's climbing to the top in their own way, after a while you realize your climb is your life. How much effort you care. Sometimes in my life, I could tell you there's been intense moments where, because it's been intense, I've reduced it to simple binary. That means instead instead of like having endless possibilities, because the more options a system gets, the more complex the decision making makes. That means imagine like somebody bringing two flavors of ice cream and being like, which one you want, and you'll be like, all right, I want the left one, for example. And now imagine someone bringing you suddenly four flavors, and then more and more and more, and suddenly there's like endless flavors. The more flavors of ice cream there are for you to choose from, the slower, the longer it takes for you to make your choice. Sometimes in life, the more stuff you, in some sense, invest your attention in, the slower you gotta be to make it a proper decision. Sometimes for me, I think about things like I give myself like 2 weeks to make a decision. You know, in when a kingdom wanted to back in the day advance, they would send scouts. For me, the inner realms is the scout. The mind is scouting before the it moves the body. And this may sound strange, but I have this strange, just because in the, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 years from now, this idea may be correct. I don't know. But some people are listening to this, it's like, yo, this guy's got a lot of confidence. He feels he's correct in 1,000 years from now. I don't know. Can a void be wrong? Can you make mistakes in a void? I don't know. Honestly, if we truly felt we were matter, just a material creature, there would be no reason for emotion. That means if everybody saw everybody like everyone as just and on an atomic level, we'd be like, it's just atoms here. Where are the people? Do you see? I honestly think there we are just our eyes are like a camera. A strange biological camera has been made after 4 billion years, and this camera doesn't know even what's looking through it. Doesn't even know who's. It's unknown the that which is looking through the eyes of the human being. And then in front of the eyes of the human being, it's everything moving in front of the camera, the world changing, people changing. Sometimes I think about my life and I'm like, how many faces have I seen? Just thinking about it, and it's been like a lot, you know? And it's incredible. In Vedic thought, there's a notion of universal memory. There's a dimension to the being that has an individual memory, which in Vedic thought, in yoga, you can say, or in yogic oriented thought. You know, Sufism has parallels to this as well. Sorry, guys, I'm just a second. Anyways, what was I saying? I was saying, yeah. So, in Vedic thought and just a certain mystical view of seeing it, you are a self, then you are in a self, then you are out of a self, then you have always been the self. that self that is there from the beginning, or I can say, I don't know. It was individual memory, universal memory, and then a dimension to the being that had no memory. And I'm trying to somehow see if I can word this as a transition of the experience of self. Because we know things, everything has a beginning, middle, and end. Now, to the beginning, it can't see the end. To an being that exists, it can't fathom non existence. To the end, you can't see the beginning. The beginning didn't matter. It is only in the middle of life where the beginning and the end are simultaneously significant. And what is evolution? Survival of the fittest, Vishnu, maintenance. What can be said? When we think about the soul, it cannot be thought. It doesn't have a shape, the unknown. When we think about the mind, it is where thought is arising, is emerging, is being received. And the body, sometimes I feel like the body is destined to break and the mind is destined is to endlessly continue. I feel the body is eternity's glove. Sorry guys, there's this truck outside. I'm gonna mute it so the noise of it doesn't disturb the listeners. We identify our moments of experience through the initial acceptance of an instantaneous image, then a complex web drawn from that image. So what I'm saying is that in front of our eyes, in the outer realms, we are made of atoms. In our inner realms, I've coined the term eventum. We are made of events. And so now I'm saying there is an event which is the first point of reference to existence. Guys, so Charles says in the chat section, the dielectric pulse pulls us inward. The magnetic pulse pushes us outward. Ergo, we live in a push me, pull you universe. Charles, the third law of Isaac Newton is clapping for you right now. Yeah, reality, sometimes it's so dynamic that it's like there's more unknown variables than known variables. And the whole purpose, the whole aim is like you could say 50-50 is okay. But if you find yourself in a moment where there is like maybe 80% unknown variables, and 20% known, that's a moment where you gotta actually really engage your alertness to the environment, how you are alert and how you are attentive to phenomena. I'm telling you, that's what intuition is. That's what conscience is. Think of again the 50-50 model, 50% unknown, 50% known factors to the moment. Now imagine suddenly something dangerous is happening or an event is happening, the person doesn't know outcome, unknown variables, unknown variables, unknown variables. You know, I'll give you an example. For example, let's say you're with a bunch of people and you've been to the pub and you've stepped out and it's like they suddenly want to drive. You know, somebody who's drank wants to drive. What does that mean? That means that's a situation where it's not 50 known variable, 50 unknown. Or I would say it is kind of 50-50, but I would say I'm just trying to say that when the unknown variables increase, make it move towards the known. When the known variables increase, if you're in a place where everybody's acting like they 100% and know everything, go towards the unknown. Do you know? So that means the same way in other talks I said when you're in a complex situation, navigate through simplicity. When you're in a simple situation, you are free to navigate through complexity. Do you know? Now I'm saying do it with the known and the unknown. When you're in a known situation, navigate through the unknown. When you're in an unknown situation, navigate through the known. My whole art, like the art that I draw, is based on this principle. It is based on this principle that nature has a freedom of expression that is like there. Do you know what I mean? Like there's emergence, there's spontaneous emergence. There is the new. The new is not a myth, guys. It's not like the Loch Ness monster. You know, we just need to create a civilization that, sorry guys, just whoever's new to these talks, underneath the theme of every talk I'm also thinking of how an advanced civilization will be made. So that's probably gonna echo in many of the themes of the talk, Aisha. I'm just saying that for me, mysticism is when I trust the unknown, and I could say advancement is when I trust the known. Because here's the thing, the mind has an ability to judge anything. You know, the mind can point the energy and its attention anywhere. You can look at a bunch of numbers and think that's God, you know? Imagine in the future in a cyberspace realm like God is a code. Or it's like the whole code or the programmer, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many ways that reality can branch out. So that's the cool thing. You know, it's like we realize we can study trees as much as we want, but how we can't predict how the branch is going to come out. Do you know exactly? So reality is like this, where we are having opinions before we actually do anything. The mind is like living a quicker life than the body. That's why it can see multiple probabilities and potentials to the moment. Because language is mysterious. It has become so natural for us. We don't care about it now. You know, people don't even honor dictionaries anymore. There was a time the dictionary was like, no way, we have never made this much progress as human beings. Like when we first made a dictionary. But the issue was we stopped creating, in some sense, we stopped adding more letters to the alphabet. We stopped building in an infinite system, and we're wondering why we suffer. That means it's like when in Rome be Roman, when in a changing universe, you will, go with the change. There's moments where you can say, it is really like a signal. It is really like a fish in a current, how intelligence arises. Like, I have had dreams that have been automated, and there's many moments in life, just even right now, I can see how many processes inside the body, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system, these are all naturally being conducted. Like, I don't have to think about it. I'm existing as a biological being. But a thought comes into place when we want to be a certain character. When existence is like being a biological statue. Living is like you have understood that you're in a film, but it's cosmic level of a type of a film. You know, guys, I'll tell you a funny experience. This experience was in grade 3. Imagine me in grade 3. And I remember the teacher had put these tables, and I was like this Persian kid new to Canada, you know? I mean, I had been in Canada since grade 1, but I was new, like, like I was, the language, I was new to the language, you can say. I was new to the English language. And I remember the teacher had put the tables in four, like in groups of 4, and it was me and these 3 girls who I can't remember their names, but there were these 3 girls there, and it's me in grade 3. Imagine me as a little kid, and they were all reading books, and I was reading a dictionary, and then the teachers like talk about your books. And yeah, I got criticized for reading the dictionary, guys, in grade 3. Little did I know I was holding the holy grail of language in my hand, you know? I was holding where everybody's judgments on the dictionary came from. Oh man. That's why I'm saying we gotta be playful with language. We take language seriously, you become a dictator. That's the danger, guys. That's the danger of thinking you're a thought. You might suddenly want to be like a certain kind of thought and forget that nature has a freedom. That's the blessing of nature, you know? There's a sort of privacy policy to human sensitivity. If that's not honored, then it's as if the person hasn't even cared to be a human being to even care to build an advanced civilization for humanity. Right now, the world needs like designers. Like in the movie 2012, the Chinese government went to the villages and was looking for anybody who was a welder, you know, who was involved in metallurgy. And now Mr. Within is telling the world, hopefully the world will listen one. I'm telling the species we need designers. Because our issue is not that we're good or bad people, we're just energy that's become conscious of itself, and the attention is navigating through a linguistic technology. We need designers more than ever. That means I feel that if there's educational reform on a global level, middle school is making you into a doctor. Primary school is making you into a doctor. Middle school is making you into a designer. And high school makes you into an advanced communicator. And university makes you into a pilot of consciousness. I would kind of connect it to my own universe of thought and words in that way. Because let me tell you, there is something that it's like the earlier the person knows, the better. That should be in the curriculum of the educational system. You know, that means that the thing is, it's like, just think about it. Think as if there was an alien invasion, and we were like, what should we do with the educational system? What kind of curriculum should we have? Imagine there was an alien invasion, there was war. The educational system in that point would not just think of military, would think of strategy. We would build a curriculum where, imagine there was a 1,000-year war, alien invasion. Okay, we would suddenly have to develop an educational system in that 1,000-year alien invasion. Let's say human beings are still safely living, like we can defend ourselves, but the aliens can't. But the aliens have technology to destroy us. They just can't get to us. And so 1,000 years of an alien invasion, imagine it goes on, right? And in the middle, we're like, all right, what kind of educational system? So I would say an educational system that was in that situation, in that event of an educational system that brings strategies, that makes strategy the wilderness of strategy. We need that. So it would be mixing the dimension of the improvisational ability of the individual and the strategy of the ability and the will of mind. Probably in that moment, everybody has to meditate if there's an alien invasion. Everybody has to become super sensitive of their inner elves. You know, I don't know, guys. These are like I write many, science uh, fiction works. So sometimes universes visit each other. Currently in 2020, similar to that alien invasion, it just needs to be an advancement of communication. That means we have to build a curriculum that makes the human being know its rights, know what it is. Not ideological, knows the dangers of idealism. Do you know, guys, what the danger of ideology is? It's the same kind of danger that in, for example, Abrahamic religions, they see in the concept of possession, right? But an ideology is the past possessing you. It is only direct experience which leads to novel truth. As you trust your inner realms, you attempt the great. As you attempt the great, you see who you are. The blessing of failure is that you notice the real you. Now the real you achieves the victory. For me, noticing emptiness is the start of wisdom. There was some person had written this book where it was like eat your frog early in the morning or something. It was a weird title, but like the guy was saying, do the hardest challenge of the day at the beginning of the day. Do the most complex thing you can fathom instantly. That means if you're someone who has to, let's say, write a novel, do you know? Try to instantly do that. That means some things that, if, for example, there's a deadline for, you give yourself an earlier deadline than that deadline and you edit your work before the deadline. It's all timing when it comes to skill. That's what I've noticed. Because what it is communication is there's an inner realm film which we comment on. If you notice something about human people when they speak, their fingers move. Their fingers move, their eyes too. That means if I have noticed sometimes, like there's videos of myself in these talks, and I've looked at them, and I've noticed, like in that moment when I was saying that thing, how many images in my inner realms was moving. You know why? Because the eye would move in the sense as if when someone is thinking, they're looking left and right, or someone is pondering, they look top towards the sky. Someone has failed, they look down. Do you see? Our inner realms are reflecting our outer body language. The language of the body is the movement of the film behind our eyes and our response and noticing of that film. What does that mean? That means people have been buying TVs. They've been buying TVs, not realizing that if they close their eyes, sight is moving. When you open your eyes, stuff moves in your sight, you know? But when you close your eye, the sight moves. It's as if when you open your eyes, we are matter, we are the shape, and emptiness is, we are the form, and emptiness is the formless. When we close our eyes, it's like we are the emptiness, and the inner realms has the design. So I feel when I close my eyes, I am not, the eye is different. It's not the same eye. It's not the same thought of self. Which, what that means is we are not thoughts, we are attention. We're energy being attention. That means it's like every person who's been speaking. Guys, I'll tell you, after everyone's listened to all these lectures in the Mr. Within channel, I've also given endless silent talks. So if you just listen to the silent, you could hear the silence, you could hear those too. You know? I was saying to someone the other day, any time, any moment you could be silent and you'll receive a silent teaching. You'll learn from the silence. There's moments where I've tried something, guys, and it's out of nowhere. It's like a group of friends, close friends, a group of close friends. They're suggesting what food to order, and somebody says like pizza, and the group's like, yeah, maybe. Somebody says Chinese food. Yeah, one person says, I really like Chinese food. A bunch of other people are like, okay, let's see what the other options are. You know, and then imagine someone. Then imagine someone says, for example, let's order this kind of food. I'm not going to name a nationality or a sort of culture to it, but let somebody says you. It's like, imagine you say a type of food, and then the whole group is like, no, as if it was like, do you know what I mean? Like as if it was, as if Indian food isn't that popular. I don't know, guys. I was attempting some sort of humor there. In the Diamond Sutra, there's a quote. It says, "Keep your mind alive and free without abiding in anywhere or anything." What I feel, when you are alive and free in that state, You have no judgment on the ocean, so you just trust your movement, and whenever there's currents, you're grateful for it. You know, it's like trying to wonder about the design of the simulation of the realm, and one realizing nowhere in the code it has said that the outer realms have to 100% match the inner realms. So all that the inner realms can do is it can let go of the outer realms that it's identifying with in the mystical direction. In the mystical vision, that's the case, where you are wondering about what it means to be more than a thought or beyond a thought. If you don't fear this question, I will tell you you are one of the early ones out of the cave of the linguistic simulation. Intelligence is as mysterious as the design of everything else. That means when there is one strange system, when there's one odd thing in the system, it's like there's the one bad apple in the system, the whole barrel of apples gets messed up. Or influenced by it, you know? That means sometimes I think the human being is a program and God is a superior program, which we are inside that program. But even that program has a mysterious design factor. That means it's a regression of the creative force into infinity and the regression of the destructive force into the void. That means you can see endless things be created, but then you can also see all those things that were created also be destroyed. Like the mind has an ability, as much as it can notice the cup half empty, it can also see it's half full. That's happiness. Happiness is just seeing the cup half full. You know? That means even if you lose. Imagine like your life is a cup of tea, and like half of it spills, and you're like, all right, less hot, extremely hot tea to drink. It's like you're happy because the change wasn't an actual change, wasn't an event that really changed you. So I say the best way to function in this plane of existence is to learn to appreciate how the unknown is here as well. And then you become your teacher. You'll realize. You'll see why I'm saying endlessly pilot, pilot, pilot. You're a pilot of your attention. Your attention piloting through an elemental circumstance. Enjoy it while it's in display. You can say in a thousand years from now, they're gonna be like, these guys didn't realize they were all one thing. Imagine. And imagine 1,000 years from that 1,000 years, people look back and it's like they didn't realize that one thing was not one thing. Sometimes I think chaos and order is how a universe breathes, how existence is breathing, through shapes that arise and they create meaning and they leave. It's like what's the purpose of a candle? It's like after the candle is melted, its purpose is not even in display, it's not in design. So I would say my energetic purpose is to just be energy. But I would say my experiential purpose is to use the opportunity of humanhood to see how intense the effort of life is. That means a lot of people feel they're judged by the world, but there's moments where you just honestly do what you can, and then you look at how the world judges itself. That means in honesty, there is an access to a sacred fearlessness. Because it's an honesty with the moment. That means it's like when you're being nice to someone, you don't have their eyes. When you're being rude to someone, you don't have their eyes. It's like before we can speak, we have to declare a value. We have to stop judging, actually, to be able to share the judgment. Anyways, guys, I'm going to share the Discord server here. And anybody who has philosophical oriented questions, feel free to enter the School of Athens 2.0. And really my effort with this talk was to say, it's just this theory I have that really space is not empty. There's intelligence. This intelligence is not just dual. It's not just an object. It's not a subject. At best, the most way we can culturally integrate this insight with our cultures is to begin creating a sort of visible language and invisible implication of that language. So what it means is the study of language, first of all, is the most important thing. That means if there's educational reform, and people ask what's the most important thing to study on this planet, it's language, because it is the program of life's journey. It's how the roller coaster comes across to the person who's on it. That means if this realm is a simulation, we can say none of this is here, but we know that the simulation is being kept in somewhere real. This illusion needs truth first. The concept of an illusion needs truth first. So that's very key, guys, because without truth, it's like, how do you know you're in an illusion? How do you know it's empty if you don't consider the idea of fullness? Beyond language, the pilots of consciousness and advanced communicators of the future generations, they will definitely go beyond language, and they're gonna, I don't know, but it's gonna be fascinating. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. The Discord link is here. I'm gonna share it, and I'll see you there. There we go. Blessings, everyone. Thanks for listening.